Hey everybody, Kerzac here again in my backyard with the review of the Transformers Earthrise Voyager class Starscream. Now I've already reviewed Thundercracker and Skywarp. This is going to be a little bit more detailed since I only have one figure to review who's not a repaint. And obviously this figure is based on the Classics mold from 2006, the deluxe figure. And it's very nice to finally get this figure kind of blown up in the Voyager class, but it's not exactly the same. There are some major molding difference and some differences in articulation, so he's not the exact same figure just in the Voyager class. Even how he transforms is a little bit different. But the basis for this figure is definitely based on the Classics figure. Based on that's not some good wordplay, that sucks. Anyway, let's go on to the actual figure review. You see, he actually does look pretty good. He looks very much like his G1 model, even down to the nose cone not being painted, because there's a lot of scenes in the G1 cartoon where his nose cone was just the same color as his body, just all gray. We do have orange for the cockpit, which looks pretty good. You can see some detail in there where you can see a cockpit sculpted in there. You do get some red right here. Along the back, not too much. You get some red and white stripes along the wings, along with the Decepticon sigils on either side. They don't look too bad. I'm not a big fan of how they were done, but they don't look too bad. And unlike Thundercracker and Skywarp, he actually gets paint along his tail fin with the red and white continuing up there. And that looks pretty good there. Look along the bottom, typical, Starscream body just kind of folded up, but, they hide it pretty well, as good as they could, really. It doesn't look too bad. He, of course, comes with his null rays, which can be pegged underneath the wings. They can also be pegged up here. So you can have a weapon like that. You can peg it onto the side of what will be his arm. You can peg it down here against his leg. There's also a peg on the underside of his tail fins back here, if you really want to peg it all the way back there. There's plenty of pet ports for all the different weapons. You can get some of the little Micromaster figures to kind of use as weapons, so all that good stuff. There is no landing gear, unfortunately, which does kind of suck. There's nothing folds out from the cone. It looks like there's something here, but it's just as far as I can tell, nothing actually folds out. It just looks like landing gear. The little chest pieces don't fold out like on the Classics figure. Nothing folds out from back here. There's not anything that kind of looks like fake landing gear like on some figures. It's all just solid plastic, so don't be rolling him. You'll just be scraping him up. But I mean, it's a jet. Are you really going to roll him? So let's get down to transformation. It's pretty easy. Go ahead and fold up the tail fins. Take the wings, and you're going to want to be careful because you can actually see from where there's a tab there when you're transforming the wings. I actually scraped a little bit of paint on the very edge of my wing there. So you are going to want to be careful. So you're going to pull it out slightly. Flip that hinge out. Flip the wing out. You might pull the wing off the hinge a little bit. Once again, flip it out. And just to show you what I'm talking about, this little tab here, when you're transforming it back into vehicle mode, be careful about that tab because if you scrape the wing against it, you're going to have a wing that has slightly damaged paint, like this one right here. But flip the wings up, kind of line them along the back. You're going to want to flip the feet forward and go ahead and untab these tail fins. And the tail fins are on such a tight hinge with the heel piece that when you flip them down, you'll probably bring the heel piece with them. So you can just flip this down, heel pieces will be out. And the tail fins don't peg anywhere, they just kind of sit up against the feet. Come underneath here. And actually underneath here is where the peg hole is for if you wanted to put him in a flying pose with his jet mode. That's where it's at. So that's actually kind of nice. You're going to want to pull these pieces out, these little panels, and then you'll grab it, untab it from the back piece here, and when you do, it'll pull these out on little struts. So his legs will come out. You can actually see mine's actually miscolored. You see this normal bright blue plastic over here, and over here it has like a sun bleached plastic look to it almost. I'm not sure why, but the panels do come back up. They have little tab holes there. You can just tab them right back into the struts right there. There we go. Split the legs. Go ahead and flip the little panel back down. And we're going to bring the camera up. Come over here. Just grab. How I do this is I grab hold of either side of the cone of the front of the jet, and I grab the chest piece. Try to grab it by the front here, because you're going to pull up and back. Now fold that whole piece down, leaving just the chest plate sitting there. You're going to fold out the arms from the inside, take the cone, flip it around, bring it on down. And this is a little bit trickier than it was on the deluxe figure. You have to line everything up because this piece has to go into that little tab hole there. But not only that, but the arm panels actually have panels that have to line up with the chest piece. And just like that, you can see there's actually a place where the tabs interlock right there. And that tabs it all back together. The arms are a little bit more complicated. Instead of the hands just flipping out, you actually have to lift, I guess you could say, the gauntlet up. Bring this whole piece shimmying on out. And you can see this little piece that basically makes it the elbow. You gotta make sure that's straight. And when you want to click this down like that, and flip the rest of the place. Do the same over here. Flip the whole gauntlet out. Shimmy it on out there. Make sure it's straight. Tab it in. Straighten the hand. Go ahead and bring the null race from the back wings to here. Just go ahead and peg them into the shoulders like that. Get a very iconic Starscream look. And finally, for the head reveal, just grab this whole cone. It'll pop open. Bring it on down to the back on this little strut. And there we have Earthrise Starscream in his robot mode. And now we have good old Starscream in his robot mode. Oh, if the camera doesn't want to fall over. Let's go ahead and bring in Earthrise Grapple for a size comparison. See, he's about the same size, although he's a little bit shorter at the head, it looks like. But his little pillars make him slightly taller, I believe. And Revenge of the Fallen Scout class roll bar here. You see he's about 2/3 the height of that. So, you know, gives you a good idea of how big he is. And Starscream himself looks pretty dang good, if I gotta say. He looks very nice. He looks a lot better than I was expecting. I was expecting something that just looks kind of cheap and stuff, but I'm really glad I got him over the... I sold my Siege figures for this one, because he's a very nice Starscream. Now, he doesn't have as much articulation as a Siege figure. Like, he doesn't have the wrist swivels, unfortunately, or the waist swivel. So, unfortunately, those have to be cut through the transformation, I guess, but... he looks so much better, though. He looks so nice. I think that's kind of worth it in a way. Let's get a close-up look at the face. You can see he does have some gunmetal gray done for the mouth, for the face plate and the mouth and the nose and all that. He's got some red for the eyes. The same kind of gunmetal color is done for the little turbines, I guess you could say. Are these turbines? But these little pieces in here inside of his chest. Red paint all over for the chest. I think this is just done in red plastic, but I'm not sure. But I know up here it's painted because it's gray plastic on the inside. Same up here. You still have the red and white. I don't like how the Decepticon sigil is upside down. That does bother me a little bit. No paint on the arms, but the plastic handles that pretty well. Same for the legs. No fin on the upper legs, but down here we do get some paint. We get some like gunmetal gray up in here. And it's same in the similar shade is, I think it's like a slightly lighter shade down here. And there's some blue paint there. And you still have the tail fin paint. I do like how the transformation is done to kind of utilize as much of the vehicle paint, kind of carry it over into the robot mode. So it does look all pretty good. For the differences from the classic figure, the cone is no longer attached to the head, so the head's able to fully freeball it. So you don't have to worry about this being a lever that's going to break off. That actually happened on my classic Skywarp. Is this the cone strut actually broke off from the head, and that really sucked. The arms are fully articulated now, you know, so they don't just do the elbow bend. They actually have the swivel and everything. And he also has ankle pivot too, compared to the classics figure. So there are some nice differences in this robot mode. Plus the wings are also on hinges. I might also go over to articulation for talking all about all that. The head is ball jointed, so you can look around. You can look up a little bit, about that far. You can look down a little bit. It actually looks pretty sinister when he does that. The wings are actually on hinges, so you can fold them back like that. Fold them all the way out. You can also just leave them at an angle like that, which I think looks pretty good. You do still have the hinge from transformation, but I really can't use that for too much. You do get fully articulated shoulders, so you can go forward and go back until they bump into the wing. You can go that far out. You do get a swivel that's kind of tight right there. You do get a slightly over 90-degree elbow joint, which does suck because the Siege figure had double elbow joints, so it can actually fully fold up. And as I mentioned, no wrist swivel, so nothing for the wrist. You can lift it up if you want to, really, but it doesn't really do anything. Nothing at the waist, and I can kind of understand because the cone has to peg in right there, but I really don't understand why they couldn't have maybe fit a waist swivel right here somehow. I'm sure they could have come up with something. Do get universal joints at the legs there, so you can go that far forward. You can go about that far back. You can go that far outward. Get a pretty good split. Do get a swivel. get a, once again, slightly over 90 degrees knee joint. And you do get tiltage at the ankle, so you can have a nice little ankle tilt and actually have the legs open a little bit, like that. So you can get him in a pretty nice pose, like so. And he looks pretty good. He does have plenty of peg holes for attaching weapons. You know, he still has the two on the back of his wings. He has a peg hole underneath his arm. Has them on the shoulders for his null rays. You can put one in his hand. You can still attach them to the side of his legs, and he still has the tail fin pegs. And you can also attach stuff down here too, on his feet. So you can also pull out the weaponizers from Siege and, you know, really armor him up, get him looking pretty good. But yeah, overall, he's a pretty cool little figure. He's got plenty of articulation. I think he's still a pretty dang good improvement over the classic Slux figure. Just having him in the Voyager scale at all is really nice. My only real complaints are, I wish this clip the bit getter a little bit tighter. I don't like how there's like a slight separation between the top of the chest and the front of the chest. You can see there's actually little cracks right there. I don't really like this little hollow spot right here. I wish there was more of the panel flipped out to kind of fill that in. I also don't really like there's no wrist swivel. I can accept no waist swivel. I can honestly accept because there's just not enough room in there. But I don't like how there's no wrist swivels. That does bother me a lot. Oh, so this red panel is tainted because I can see where a paint chip came off. So yeah, down here is painted, so be careful with that. Paint chips off apparently. Have to fix that later myself. But yeah, no wrist swivel just because of how it transforms is kind of a bummer. I wish they had just made it simpler like the classics figure, and maybe worked a wrist swivel into there. But other than that, he's a pretty good little figure. I think he's a very good Starscream, and he's probably the best we're going to get in the Chug style. And being Voyager class is a perfect scale for him, I feel like. So, this has been Kerzac, this has been Starscream, Earthrise Starscream, and I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope you have a great day. Take care.